Hello and welcome to Cutting the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse. I'm Ben and as always I am hanging out with Mike.
Hello.
Claire.
Hey.
And Pete.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about a classic. I think it's a classic. It's a classic conspiracy theory. It's an old one. Oldish. Goes back to World War II. And it's the first of a two-parter I'll be doing over the course of the next few weeks. This one is the Philadelphia experiment. Most of you will probably...
See, I was thinking we were going to watch a film with Tom Hanks in it, slowly degenerating. Thank fuck for that. I'm joking.
You did that, didn't you? Didn't know what you thought?
You did what? You watched the movie in preparation?
I sat and watched it all today and crying and everything.
Yeah, I know, that's what we told you. We wanted to try to These will be funny. No, the Philadelphia experiment.
There is a film, though, isn't there?
There's nothing to do with,
There's
Tom Hanks
two.
getting AIDS.
No, nothing to do with that.
Okay.
There's two films, there might be three.
Yeah, I've seen two, yeah. Long time ago when I was a teenager.
This is the alleged conspiracy of the Philadelphia experiment, and then in my next pick, when I get to that in a few weeks, I will talk about the Montauk Project, which directly follows on from this, and is the conspiracy that inspired Stranger Things, if you're into that. So before we get into the Philadelphia experiment, we will thank some new and returning listeners. I'll read a selection. Lansdowne in PA, Pennsylvania. Fantastic. Las Vegas, Nevada. Rome in Italy. Frankfurt in Germany. Fort Lauderdale in the United States. Oh, sorry, Frankfurt. I'm just going to briefly just mock you with laughter about your team's dismal performance in the World Cup.
Who's poor performance?
Germany.
God, they were awful.
Fort Lauderdale in Florida. Paris in France.
Can't say
I can't believe we've got a French list on here of England playing France in the World Cup. We've never had one, nor has we've got one. Well, that's going to be one listener lost after Sunday next week's.
Not if they win.
Well, if they win, Claire, we'll just relentlessly just say how they cheated.
Obviously.
And if we win, then we'll mock them for being crap.
That's the way it goes.
How they tampered with our football boots with brie and camembert and things like that. And awful people. Joking.
Laurel in Maryland in the US, Charlotte, North Carolina, London in the UK, Boardman, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Bengaluru in India, Guadalajara, Spain, Perryville, Missouri, Ashburn, Virginia, and Belfast, Binging Belfast in the United Kingdom.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Mr.
Binging
Belfast.
Thanks to everybody, yeah.
And the United States. It was like every other one this week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like,
Yes.
USA.
I wonder how come we've become so popular in Belfast all of a sudden. Do you think it was the potato famine episode?
No.
I do.
We were not offensive in any way, shape or form.
It's because it's not something we have to be reminded of, in all fairness. You know? It's not something I want to think about. Right, the Philadelphia experiment. It is the summer of 1943. World War II is raging. Raging, I tell you. It's 2 years into the United States involvement, and a bloody sea battle was raging between American destroyers and Royal Navy destroyers. Let's not forget them. Took the brunt of it for 2 years until the Americans decided to turn up. Sorry.
Don't be. They seem to think they won it for us.
They have that thing, don't they? Anyway, they were fighting the Nazi U-boats, or the Unterseebooten.
Unterseebooten?
That's what submarine is in German, Unterseebooten.
And it
Undersea
literally
boat.
means, I was going to say, it literally means underwater boat.
Yeah. Obviously shortened to U-boat because it sounds cooler. Remember, it's the lifeline of the Allies, the Atlantic. It's a major shipping lane. You've got dozens of convoys escorted by warships and aircraft as far as they can get out, and the U-boats are hunting in packs. They're sinking hundreds of thousands of tons a month.
That's our lifeline, isn't
And
it?
it is. It's all our food coming in. Well, not all our food, because we were obviously digging for victory. You know, it's this war material, it's oil, it's raw material.
Anything that's coming overseas wasn't arriving, basically, wasn't it, pretty much?
And when the Americans join in 1941, then boom, you've got shiploads of Americans over as well. And it's been going pretty badly for the Allies. Obviously, we took the technological lead, the advantage of sonar and getting better depth charges, and tactics. In the end, the wolf packs became individuals, and it didn't go so well for the German U-boat crews, and I think there's something like a 80% mortality rate, something daft like that.
Yeah,
highest out of any branch of service.
It wasn't good to be a submariner in the German Navy, was it?
No, certainly not when the Allies got the technological leap and cracked the Enigma code as well.
Yeah.
It didn't help. That really didn't help.
The fact that just when we realised they were there, because that was the thing, the reason they were so devastating at first is because they weren't really expected. Really. We're not in the number and how deadly they were. Nobody expected it, but then as soon as we cottoned onto it, depth charges, things like that become a lot better.
It's the technological leaps they made, the ASDIC sonar. You know, we wait for that ping when you the ping. That's, you know, and then they got the better depth charges. Remember the submarines, and you know, submarines usually surface to fire. They used to like sinking merchant ships with their deck gun rather than firing the torpedo, because torpedoes are precious things to be fired at high value targets.
And even then, torpedoes had to be fired at quite a low depth anyway, so...
You still got to come to the surface, they'd see your periscope.
Pretty much, yeah. And they'd have to spot it, they'd have to know where they were shooting, so they'd have to use the periscope to see where they were shooting. Because they didn't have the technology in them days to go... Just look on a little computer screen and go, these are the coordinates you need to put in, shoot.
So yeah, you know, thousands of lives are lost in the Battle of the Atlantic, and it was fucking horrible. It's the one theatre of war I definitely wouldn't have wanted to be on either side. I don't want to be drowned in the cold North Atlantic Sea. But in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in 1943, a newly commissioned destroyer called the USS Eldridge was being equipped with several large generators as part of a top-secret mission to win the Battle of the Atlantic once and for all.
So that exists, the USS Eldridge?
Yeah, the ship exists, Ended up in the Greek Navy.
Probably still using it, aren't they?
No, I don't think so anymore. But yeah, that's all of a sudden, especially if the US, who was like churning out ships in ridiculous amounts of time. I mean, they could make a merchant ship in 24 hours.
Wow.
I mean, they were called Liberty ships. They were built to a standard template. They weren't glamorous, they weren't luxurious, but they had a big cargo hold and they were watertight.
Good enough to do the job.
Yeah. You know, they were churning one out every 24 hours. Now imagine, warships obviously take more time, but you're still talking a couple of years, 3 years to knock out a capital ship, a battleship or an aircraft carrier. It's not bad going. That was why they were the arsenal of democracy, weren't they? They had as soon as they went on to war footing.
The arsenal.
Oh, I said the arsenal.
You said arsenal.
I meant arsenal. It was being equipped with several large generators. Now, rumour aboard the ship was that the generators were designed to power a new kind of magnetic field that would make the warship invisible to enemy radar.
Very handy.
Very handy. Also, this is another possibility that they were trying to use these generators and cables looped around the ship to create a Gauss field which would neutralise the ship's own magnetic field. Right, so it wouldn't set off mines.
Not to act as almost like a force field to stop penetrating things like torpedoes and things like that.
If you want to doubt it, that's a possibility.
The mind just felt that it was metal and then bing.
Yeah, the mine, but it goes off a magnetic field.
Yeah. There's all sorts of different things that corrupt them.
So those are proximity mines will be on a magnetic field. So if you can make your ship so it doesn't set those off, that's also a really good thing. And it's down to Einstein. He had this unified field theory where you could do this.
Right.
With the full crew on board, it was time to test the system.
Wouldn't it be better to test it without the crew on board first?
No, because it's wartime, Mike, and we need to know quick.
Yeah, it's wartime. You don't want to lose men, do you? Accident testing this thing.
It'll be fine. It's developed by top American boffins and Einstein. What can go wrong?
The Einstein bit, yeah, no problem, but...
And you're doing it in broad daylight, in plain view of the ships nearby. Don't forget that. The switches were thrown on the powerful generators which hummed into action, but all they think they're going to do is make it invisible to radar or potentially demagnetise the ship. Right? That's all they're thinking that's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're not planning on what happens.
What happened?
What happened?
Did I get leaped into the future or something?
Close, yeah.
Alright. See, I'm completely unaware of what happened with this experiment.
You've never heard of the Philadelphia
I've
experiment?
heard of it, but I've never looked into it. I may have heard about it, I don't know, but it's not something that's on my radar,
It was the film that
like a connection.
brought my attention to it.
I might watch the film after this, probably now.
Yes. No, don't. It's terrible.
Fair enough.
The second one's worse.
They ain't great.
Nah, they're not great. But the film does play a part in leading the story to new life. Not just because more people become aware of it. One very important person who comes along later came out the woodwork. What would happen next would baffle scientists and fuel decades of wild speculation. Witnesses describe an eerie green blue glow surrounding the hull of the ship. Then instantaneously and inexplicably, the Eldridge disappeared. Not just invisible to radar, but gone. Vanished into thin air.
God.
Oh shit!
Oh shit! Are you trying to make a point there, Peter?
Sorry, I had a little bit of a tickle.
Sounds like something off Scooby-Doo, doesn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, it does sound a little bit just too out there, doesn't it? And if that happened, how come they've not fucking carried on developing this technology?
How do you know they haven't?
Because I've never seen a ship disappear.
Oh,
Well,
they always reckon that they're 50 years ahead of where they tell us.
But do you know what? I was on submarines, which are pretty much the most highest, toppest, secretest thing possible.
Oh, it's top
If they had things like that in the world, surely they'd be on bloody nuclear submarines.
Well, maybe it's not quite ready for that. I mean, and also look at it from a military-industrial complex point of view. Why give them that when you can keep selling them the lower model?
I suppose.
Gives
And
you
why-
time to make it better.
And also, why play your hand? Unless you're at war with somebody and they need to use it, why let them know you got it?
Anyway, sorry.
Hours later, there were reports of the Eldridge appearing in the Norfolk Naval Shipyard in Virginia, before reappearing just as suddenly back in Philadelphia.
Well, what's the distance there, like Virginia to Philadelphia?
It's a few hundred miles. It would take 6 days to sail around the coast to do that.
Oh.
Okay. Fair
Sorry,
enough.
2 days. 2 days. I'm getting my things confused.
Either way,
2 days it would take.
still a significant distance.
To sail around the coastline of America.
It's not something that could be done within a couple of hours. So,
According to classified military reports, members of the Eldridge crew suffered from terrible burns and disorientation. Most shockingly, a few crewmen were found partially embedded in the steel ship of the hull, still alive,
I have heard about this. You know, I have heard about this.
but with legs or arms sealed to the deck, and also crew going insane.
I have heard about this. Just that bit there, the bit with people getting embedded in the ship. I've heard that before, so I have heard of this.
I believe that was there's an X-Files episode that's very close to this.
Yeah, something's playing through my mind at the moment where someone's sort of stuck in the ship.
Yeah. So goes the story of the Philadelphia experiment, perhaps the most famous and widely retold example of secret government experiments with teleportation and time travel. And more than 70 years later, despite the absence of any physical evidence or corroborating testimony, the Philadelphia experiment survives as facts in the minds of amateur paranormalists and conspiracy theorists. Now, that's the official, that's the conspiracy, right? This ship has all these generators and big cables slung around it, and it teleports to Norfolk from Philadelphia and back again. The crew are insane, they're disorientated. There's reports later on where the crew are allowed to go on shore leave, and the guys from the Eldridge have starting a bar fight, and they're phasing in and out of reality while fighting. There's reports, there's one eyewitness to that who will come later on.
It's handy in a bar fight, though, isn't it?
They're fighting each other as well, which is, makes it even better. But yeah, they're phasing in and out of reality, or some of them are still stuck in the ship, presumably immediately dying when they...
Kill me!
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Kill me!
No, we Larry will cut you out. We'll take you to the pub.
There's some bloke and part of the hull, and he's propped up in the corner.
Yeah,
his legs are hanging out at one end, and he's hanging out the other, and he's just pissing behind it.
Well, surely there'd be pictures of them sort of melded into the hull.
Well,
Not that they'd allow us to see, Claire.
Yeah,
What?
that's it, innit? They obviously covered it up, didn't they, if it happened?
So they're either A, melded to the hull, B, phasing in our reality out of control, or C, insane. D, insane. C, insane. I forgot where I was.
I told you it was a bad idea to get on that ship. That experiment, didn't I?
Where's the captain of the ship and that?
He's never been tracked down.
Presumably one of the melted people or bird
The insane
people or
ones?
insane ones. Or were they insane? Or was it they were classed as insane and all put in fucking asylums so nobody would believe what had actually happened?
I also heard only the one tale of this, that the crew saw, like, they felt they'd been through another dimension and they saw the sky was pink and there were these black pyramids lining this path they were going down.
Well, that sounds ominous, doesn't it?
And then boom, they're back. So that was what they saw. There's reports of them seeing grey aliens, the little dudes, the little creepy sexist men. Hiya. Probably living in those black pyramids.
Do that again?
Hiya. My voice is a bit footless. I've had a bit of a sore throat these last few days.
Shouting too much at the England game.
Possibly. So almost everything that we quote know about the Philadelphia experiment and the alleged teleportation of the USS Eldridge emerged from the mind and pen of a colourful character named Carl M. Allen, better known by his pseudonym Carlos Miguel Allende. In 1956, Allende sent the first of over 50 handwritten letters to the author and amateur astronomer Morris K. Jessup, who a year earlier had published a self-research book called The Case for the UFO. Apparently still very good reading. He did this very thoroughly, very scientifically, compiled results.
Before or after he started selling cameras?
Jessup. Oh, they did sell cameras. Spelled differently though.
Oh, they haven't been around for a while though, have they?
Yeah, that's true. No one does that anymore.
Can't remember where they used to be. Weird how it's changed.
Now, in his letters, Allende criticised Jessup's naive understanding of unified field theory, which Allende claimed to have been taught by Albert Einstein himself. A unified field theory which has never been proven by Einstein or anyone else attempts to merge the forces of gravity and electromagnetism into one fundamental field. Sounds groovy.
It's one of them funny things about a theory though, isn't it? It's why it's a theory, because it's never actually been physically proved.
Just like communism.
No, theory is proved.
Or
It's a hypothesis that isn't, I think.
Yeah.
So technically it's a
you can
hypothesis.
prove a theory or you can disprove a theory though, can't you?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, but
a hypothesis is the idea, but a theory is the test, I guess. Either way, you're the science officer,
Yeah, I'm
mate.
pretty sure theory is something that has been tested by other people, peer reviewed, and
It's accepted, isn't it?
yeah.
It's like, yeah, that could be right.
Yeah. I think there's a difference anyway.
There's definitely a difference between that and a hypothesis. Anyway, that's the unified field theory. Einstein reckons you can merge the forces of gravity and electromagnetism into one big ass force, which presumably you could, use to knock through into another dimension.
Well, there is a theory as to why gravity's so weak, because you can just jump, and you've got the force of the Earth pulling on you. You can jump in the air.
Is that not just because we're like really strong?
I'm going to take over science officer badge during this for a second. There's two types of gravity. There's gravity B, which is the lighter, which we can break by jumping. Gravity A, which holds the atoms, a nucleus of an atom together. So that's incredibly strong.
Yeah.
So there's two types. The idea is if you manipulate gravity B, you could potentially create
Well, there's a theory as to why it's so weak, is because it's leaking into another dimension.
I can't see it doing that.
Well, some of the greatest minds in history have
suggested it.
I mean, who are we to say?
Stupid.
From the great mind of Claire.
Yeah,
You're not having it.
It's just going into another dimension. No, gravity is something that happens because of the pull of the orbit of your planet and whatnot. And
Yeah, But because it operates in another dimension, we just sort of get like just a bit of it. You know what I mean? Not the whole sort of effect. And it's difficult. It's weird. It's difficult to understand, but it's a possibility. Who knows?
Well, who can say?
We only know 4% of the universe. The other 96%, we don't have a clue what it is.
Yeah, I mean, for years people thought it was dark matter, but even
could be. That's
like,
what we describe it. We label it as. We don't know what it is.
Yeah, well,
dark energy.
It could be dark matter, but to be fair, we've never found any, so we haven't got a clue.
Well, dark energy is the most. That's about 70 odd %. We don't know what it is.
Dark energy.
Only stuff that we can see is 4% of the universe. So
it's a lot. It's a big ass sky.
Yeah. So to claim that you know everything, you know what I mean? It's foolish. We know nothing. We know 4%, and we're still learning about all that. Yeah, exactly.
We'd be lucky if we know that much.
Still don't understand black holes completely, do we?
We don't even understand the Earth we live on.
By that logic, from our very own science officer, the Philadelphia experiment could be real because we don't know. Maybe they worked it out.
Maybe
they jumped and came back. Because if anything can be possible, then it could happen.
But anything this big, I think, would have been leaked. If it was in broad daylight and everyone's seen it.
Carlos Allende saw it. What if they made everyone sign non-disclosure agreements and things like that?
Yeah, but someone's going to have ratted out at some point in their life.
Well, let's see what he says about it.
Someone gets to 80 and goes, fuck the non-disclosure fucking thing now. I'll die in a year or two, fuck it.
People were stalwart about them things back then.
Maybe.
Now, to prove that a unified field theory existed, Allende offered Jessup his eyewitness account from a nearby ship, so he's not on the Eldridge, he's watching this. The disappearance of the Eldridge from the Philadelphia Naval Yard in 1943. Carlos Allende's letter to Morris Jessup, which explains how the US military used Einstein's revelations to teleport an entire naval destroyer and its crew, registered the first ever mention of the Philadelphia experiment. 1956.
So what, how many years later?
13.
No other witnesses, though, from the crew of the Eldridge or nearby ships have come forward in the 13 years since the alleged event. That will change. Jessup attempted a serious investigation of Allende's claims and grew frustrated with the mysterious letter writer's inability to produce physical evidence. Jessup was ready to drop the investigation entirely when he was contacted by two officers from the Navy's Office of Naval Research, the ONR, in 1957. The Office of Naval Research sounds ominous. I think there's a bit of a Man in Black thing going on here.
Shouldn't they research a lot of, like, the sea UFOs?
Yeah, they do,
What
yeah.
do they call them?
The USOs.
USOs, yeah. Do you
I
think that's what their job is?
Actually, I've had a theory on the UAP thing. I think they're drones flown by the US.
Right.
In some cases, more than likely.
I think that we're 50 years further than where they tell us we are, as the guy from Boeing said. I was thinking of this the other day. The guy who ran the skunk works that churned out all the top secret US aircraft for the last 50, 60 years, 70 years, because they've just made a new stealth bomber. That was released this week. I said, we're 50 years ahead of where you think we are. I think those are experimental craft being drone piloted, and I think they're flying it around the Navy ships to deflect away from the fact that because they're so advanced, everyone will think they're aliens rather than the US government.
Could be. There's no aliens and it's all been concocted by the US government.
I think it's a false flag in itself.
Yeah, could be.
That'll lead to an eventual alien invasion where the whole world has to band together and we end up with one world government and we're there with a reptilian boot heel on our necks.
And Will Smith will punch the first one and says, "Welcome to Earth, bitch."
That's my job. That's my ambition. And Will Smith will be too old. Now, according to an information sheet published by the ONR, the two officers were responding to a strange package they had received in 1956. It contained a copy of Jessup's UFO book, annotated by handwritten notes claiming advanced knowledge of physics that linked extraterrestrial technology to breakthroughs in unified field theory. Although these scrawled notes are meant to look like they came from three different authors, or at least one, probably an alien, maybe, Jessup instantly recognised the handwritings as all belonging to Carlos Allende. For unexplained reasons, the ONR officers published 127 copies of the annotated book, using a Texas military contractor named Varro Manufacturing. Now, those copies now are highly prized by conspiracy theorists, but why got the hassle of making 127 copies?
Doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
Now, sadly, Jessup's story took a tragic turn. He was injured in a car accident, he split from his wife, and he committed suicide in 1959.
Aw.
Carlos Allende lived until 1994, sporadically sending letters to anyone who would listen to his fantastical tale of the Philadelphia experiment. And for decades, Carlos Allende, aka Carl Allen, was the sole witness of the allegedly supernatural events surrounding the 1943 Philadelphia experiment. And Carl Allen, claimed to have been stationed on the SS Andrew Furuseth, a vessel docked in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard with a clear view of the Eldridge when it disappeared. Now, the film came out in 1984. Right, this kind of film, I guess it was into the public consciousness just enough. Someone thought, make a film out of that. And they did in 1984. A man named Al Bielek. Enter Al Bielek. Philadelphia experiment survivor. And also time traveller. And Montauk Project member. We'll get on to the Montauk Project very soon. Probably, well, not in this episode, but in a few episodes' time. He came forward claiming to have personally taken part in the secret experiment, which he had been brainwashed to forget. After seeing the movie in 1988, his repressed memories came flooding back. He's talking to Jacques Vallée, right? Jacques Vallée is a French guy who is one of the biggest names in actual proper UFO research. We have encountered his name a few times across the recent UFO episodes. Bit of a living legend in the UFO community. Despite the insistent and constantly evolving claims of Al Bielek and Carlos Allende, it was a testimony of a third witness that ultimately shed some light on what may have really happened in Philadelphia during that wartime summer of 1943.
I was finding it hard to believe there was only one witness in the whole
that's it, isn't it?
shipyard, even, in the evening and that.
But then he's saying that they've been brainwashed to forget.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Or sent to a loony bin.
Or sent to a loony bin.
Work.
Don't take this account of Al's story, because he also claims to have fallen off the Eldridge, right, while it was in the other dimension, and woke up in 1988. Saw the film, jogged his memory, off he trotted. There's also a case of another guy who turned up who claimed to be Al's brother, who was on the ship with him. And I get the feeling that was just to make some money, because Al had made a bit of money out of this. So he's like, yeah, I'm his brother, and I was on the ship with him, wasn't I, Al? You owe me $1,000, don't you?
What
From
did he
1943.
Did he have to go along with it?
Yes, he did.
He did?
Because he backed up all of his claims. But he's just like,
imagine that.
I'm your brother, and you owe me $1,000, don't you, Al? Yeah, I do, don't I? Yeah. There you
That's
go.
a great fucking ruse, that is.
It's
Because
a
the
great
guy
bit.
ain't going to deny it, is he?
No, he can't, because it adds credence to his
Exactly,
story.
he's backing him
But
up.
also, he's like under his thumb. Then
Yeah,
it's fantastic. It's a massive power play.
yeah.
In 1994, French-born astrophysicist and ufologist Jacques F. Vallée published an article in the Journal of Scientific Exploration titled "Anatomy of a Hoax: The Philadelphia Experiment 50 Years Later." In writing a previous article about it, Vallée asked readers to contact him if they had any further information about the alleged event. And that's when Vallée received a letter from Edward Dudgeon, who served in the US Navy from 1942 to 1945. He'd served on the USS Engstrom, which was dry docked in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in the summer of 1943. He was an electrician in the Navy and had full knowledge of the classified devices that were installed on both his ship and the Eldridge, which he said was there at the time. Far from being teleportation engines designed by Einstein or aliens, the devices enabled the ships to scramble their magnetic signature using a technique called degaussing. Degaussing? Never figured out how to say that word.
Degaussing.
I've heard several people say it different ways.
Degaussing. Go for a third.
Nah, I'm not going degaussing. That's terrible. Degaussing. We'll go with degaussing. The ship would be wrapped in large cables and zapped with high voltage charges. A degaussed ship wouldn't be invisible to radar, but it would be undetectable by the U-boat's magnetic torpedoes.
Okay.
Magnetic contactors.
That's why I was wondering whether
Yeah.
it would be for torpedoes more than anything.
So it goes back to the initial test that they were doing,
Yeah.
apparently.
Now, Dudgeon was familiar with the wild rumours about disappearing ships and mangled crewmen, but credited the fabrications to loose sailor talk about invisibility to torpedoes and the peculiarity of the degaussing process. The green glow was probably due to an electric storm or St. Elmo's fire. Yeah, that's when you get that build-up of static in the air and you get a spark. That's what it did for the Hindenburg.
Mm.
No.
As for the Eldridge's mysterious appearance in Norfolk and sudden return to Philadelphia, Dudgeon explained the Navy used inland canals off limits to commercial vessels to make the trip in 6 hours rather than 2 days. Now that is interesting because it would make sense that the US Navy has built inland canals to shift their ships up and down, give them a shortcut up and down that massive coastline.
Yep.
Do you think they just had like someone on a big speakerphone, so everybody that was watching, they were like, right, we're going to turn the engines on. Everybody look away, because you don't know what's going to happen. Right, quick, get out of it. Whoa, there's a big green glow. Right, you can all look back. Whoa, it's gone.
Well, look away for 20 minutes while this huge warship goes out of sight.
Hey, come on, this is Americans. They're quite easy to do.
A World War II destroyer, you're probably looking, I don't know, could be up to 3,000 to 5,000 tons maybe.
Yeah,
They were getting pretty big. They were getting pretty big at this point because they had to carry loads of depth charges and equipment, so...
Shift that in 20, 30 seconds.
A few smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Well, you blind everyone with the green lamps you set up, and then the ship just sails off. In another turn of events, the Philadelphia Inquirer reported in 1999 on a reunion of sailors who served on the USS Eldridge in Atlantic City. The sailors said the ship never docked in Philadelphia. Indeed, it was in Brooklyn on all its supposed dates of disappearance. The ship's log confirmed
Oh,
this.
fuck me.
Further, the captain said no experiments were ever conducted on the vessel, which is what they would say, isn't it?
Or maybe the sailors have been brainwashed into believing
Or
that.
maybe the sailors have been brainwashed into doing it.
Or maybe it's all a load of bullshit, and it really wasn't anywhere near it. It was where they said it was. Brooklyn. That's it. End of.
Well, despite the different accounts, both Dudgeon and the Eldridge crew both confirmed that nothing otherworldly happened on the ship, yet people continue to believe otherwise. I like it, man. It's cool.
It's cool, but it's bollocks though, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I mean, albeit it came out after you watched the film.
I know. Balls on that guy.
I know.
If it had come out 2 years prior to the film, fair enough. But yeah, 4 years after the film.
The ball. It wasn't. It was like literally a year after he watched the film, and then said, "Oh my God, my repressed memories are back. I fell off that ship."
Well, the film was 84, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
he said he watched it in 88, so it's 4 years later.
Mm.
That's what I mean. If it had been 2 years prior, instead of 4 years later, it'd have a lot more credence, wouldn't it? Let's face it. But yeah, he's just watched the film and gone, bit skint at the minute. I know.
Who can say? Although, like I say, I love the brother tale. That's fantastic.
That's just a grift.
That was somebody going, I'm a bit skint at the minute.
Yeah, and it's genius. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, the ONR has said that it never conducted experiments on invisibility, and that such experiments could only happen in science fiction. But you know they'd try it, wouldn't you? Come on, if they're like, you know, this.
Well, they have.
We're
They
trying
do.
to make technological leaps here. We're trying to
Yeah.
defeat the magnetic contactors on the contacts on the German torpedoes.
I don't
They're
think
not gonna-
Einstein's going to be involved in a shit.
He was involved in the A-bomb project, wasn't he?
Well, you know, he's not going to be involved in any shit projects. He's one of the great minds of the time.
This would prove his theory.
Yeah.
His u-
He
so
never had a theory, did he? It said.
no, it's the unified field theories. That's it.
Yeah, but he never had it, did he?
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Never came out with it.
No. Bugger.
You think he would have done, wouldn't he?
Maybe that was the proof. Maybe he thought.
Andy would have had evidence that it worked because the ship's gone invisible and disappeared.
Yeah, but it also melted the mines and melted people into the dirt.
Well, you know, got to break a few.
You can't make an omelette and break a few eggs, eh?
They have accomplished it, though, haven't they? They have accomplished invisibility.
To radar, stealth, yeah, stealth tech.
Not just stealth, to the naked eye as well, haven't they? With cameras.
Yeah, I've seen it done. Yeah,
Because they were trying to do it on tanks and that, weren't they?
they got an invisibility coat.
There's lots of different cameras that film the background.
That's right.
And project it onto the side that you can see.
Yeah.
But it's because it's literally 360 all the way around. There's like hundreds of cameras. From whatever angle you're looking at, you're seeing the exact opposite of what.
It's usually a line of trees.
But I wouldn't say it's convincing.
No.
Because you can still see something.
Yeah, you can see a bunch of trees moving.
It's almost like Predator in a.
But that was the effect they're going with for this, the Predator thing.
But that's how it almost turned out, because it was clearly obvious that it was a projection. But as technology gets better, that's going to get better. So, all right, to accomplish that particular thing, they have kind of done it, and they've done like you say, they've done the stealth. Like all our submarines, they're all covered in it. The different stealth fighter bombers and things like that, they're covered in.
Literally just released a new stealth bomber this week, the Americans, to replace the B-2. It's still a big flying wing that looks exactly like a UFO from the front.
Is it sexy like the other
It is
one
sexy,
they brought
yes,
out
it's very sexy.
not long ago?
It's a very sexy weapon of death. Which most of them are, sadly.
Like the new Harrier replacement.
Oh, the Lightning.
Yeah. Oh, what a beautiful.
It looks
beautiful
fantastic.
aircraft.
And you know what? The Vulcan, the sexiest death machine of them all.
I've still got to finish my model of that. I've got a model about yay big.
You know it's never getting finished.
It will do one day.
Never, yeah, when you retire. Oh, if any of us live that long and one of those sexy weapons of death doesn't drop something on us. But then, the Philadelphia experiment, we'll get onto the Montauk project probably coming on, getting after Christmas by the time you hear that, because we're going to do our Christmas episode shortly.
That's going to be a cheery one, guys.
Dark Christmas is back. Very much doubt we'll ever top Unit 731. You weren't with us for that, Pete. We made Claire scream.
Listen back to that.
We made Claire scream, it was fantastic.
Yeah, but punching her in the eyes doesn't count.
No, we
really.
didn't
Just watching a video.
No, yeah, we just made us, we made her watch some of the film. Right.
So a load of bollocks, yeah.
Part of me thinks, right, though this didn't happen, right, that they certainly thought about doing something
Oh,
similar.
they probably tried, haven't
And they might have tried it, but it certainly didn't go off. I think that the guy who was on the other ship, he was the electrician. I reckon he might have been onto something. I reckon he's like, we were trying to sort of render the magnetic contacts of the German torpedoes inoperable by making the ships like revert, doing something with the electric field.
Maybe.
You can see it.
Yeah, but they said that the sailors said they'd never been into Philadelphia.
No, that's true. But are they just actors, Mike? Are they just actors?
Have they been coerced with the penalty of death?
Well, what did
If
Shakespeare
they ever
say?
speak up.
The life is a stage and everyone's merely a
The world's
player.
a stage and
Didn't
everyone's
have
a
crisis
player.
actors back then.
How do you know we never had crisis actors back then, Claire? They wouldn't tell us if they had.
No, I think it's bollocks. Claire?
We were already in the crisis. It was in the middle of the fucking World War, wasn't it? So,
Yeah.
you know, we were all crisis actors.
No, the guys at the reunion later. Like,
Oh, yeah.
no, it's like the 60s, 70s. Just a bunch of old men, stick USS Eldridge hats on them and tell them they never went to Philadelphia.
No.
Okay, Sonny, don't worry.
I wasn't on the USS Eldridge, you were now, Gramps.
Nah, I'm not. I'm not buying this one.
Pete?
I'm a firm believer that it's bullshit. No, I just think it's bollocks. I think if that had have happened, there'd have been far more witnesses than what have come out. Far more.
Yeah.
Now they're insane or welcome to the decks of the... Man, imagine that you have to chainsaw those dudes out of the deck.
Well, they just get buried with the ship, don't they?
Well, they sold the ship to the
They're
Greeks.
fucked anyway.
in the 50s.
Yeah,
Well,
we got a ship for sale.
So
Don't
there's
mind the sailors embedded in the hull.
What are you getting, bleeding metal?
I was about to say, there's the proof.
There's the
Just
proof.
like tear the ship apart. If you find little bits of people embedded in bits of the boat that they obviously didn't, because surely they wouldn't have found everybody.
Well,
If that happened,
we've never had any reports from the Greek Navy
Yeah.
of half a skull in the diesel room.
of half a skull in the wall of the diesel room. Although some of them were using it as an ashtray for a while.
And a pleasure toy.
Actually, skull fucking it, Mike.
Look, it's men lonely on a ship.
What's better than a
For weeks on
glory
end.
hole?
There
There's
you
a
go.
fucking full face in this one. Hey! Oh dear, yeah, you'd be unfortunate if you did go. If you came out like and your body was like here, in one side with your ass kind of sticking out.
Yeah. Well, I found a
And the
butthole on
front
the...
end was just in the other one. You were still alive somehow. You were still alive, and then because you were on a ship with a bunch of navy men back in them days,
Yeah.
obviously you're just going to get
Spit roasted.
definitely.
You can keep your skull. I found a bumhole on the pit deck.
A bumhole on the poop deck, eh? Oh, you had to go back to the poop deck.
I did.
Anyway, fucked up facts there.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the Philadelphia experiment.
Yep.
Let's end the
Fucked
show
up
on some
facts.
fucked up facts.
Theme tune, please.
Facts, facts,
Facts,
facts, facts, facts.
Faggity facts.
Don't look back.
I
I
just,
might go for a Christmas fucked up facts version next year. The next week even.
We'll have to get some jingle bells or something in the
We
background.
can sing it in the style of a choir.
I'll find some jingle music on my phone or something so we can play that for the theme tune.
Yeah, whatever's good.
as it's the World Cup, as a football fact
What?
here.
It's what?
In December? What heresy is this?
Doncaster City Football Club is applying to play in the Scottish Cup.
Okay.
Alright, good for them.
So they're pretty close to Scotland, I guess.
Well, they were ceded to Scotland by King Stephen in 1136, and the claim is it was never given back.
Oh well, fair play to them. When these go to the Scottish League then?
I'm guessing they're hoping they'll be able to do better in the Scottish League.
Yeah,
This is the Scottish Cup, didn't
well,
you?
Scottish Cup, yeah.
Well, they're ridiculous.
Good luck to them.
North Atlantic right whales have the largest testicles in the animal kingdom.
Yeah, they're going to see me.
Though they can weigh as much as a small car.
Maybe not me.
That's some big testes.
It is a bit,
It
isn't it?
is, isn't it? That's some massive balls.
And what whale is that, sorry?
The right whale.
The right whale?
Yeah, as in opposed to the wrong whale.
I've never heard of a right whale before.
The right way is the one that Mike likes to take home.
The Atlantic right whale. How's right spelt?
Right as in the opposite of wrong.
Right as
Yeah.
in the direction.
Yeah,
Yeah. Atlantic right whale, is it?
yeah.
Either
North
way, it's got
Atlantic.
balls
North
as big as a
Atlantic.
car.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like the blue whale, so they're quite big.
I've just got to see a picture of one, that's all.
What, it's balls?
I want to have a look at his bollocks, yeah?
Yeah. Well, show it around.
No. Let's see what one looks
You
like.
do, I bet he's imagining a whale with just two bollocks hanging out.
A bit like a male rat when you see those
Yeah.
massive knackers.
Pond Square, North London, is said to be haunted by a chicken.
And why the fuck not?
It's haunted by a chicken.
Yep.
Ghost chicken.
Where's
Ghost
this?
chicken. Pond Square, North London.
Okay.
Apparently, it's a chicken that Francis Bacon tried to preserve in ice in 1626.
He was a bit of a lad though, Francis Bacon. Some talk that he was a necromancer.
Try and preserve it in ice, or did he try and like
He just froze it to death basically.
froze it and was trying to bring it back?
God knows. Tried to preserve in ice. I don't know. Did he fail this attempt or something? I don't know. Tried
Did
to
he
do
just
it.
drown? Did he just like
Drown a chicken.
drown a chicken in a bucket of
Ice water.
in ice water and like, left it over a cold night?
I've no idea. But apparently that place is now haunted
Well, would
by
he
said
just-
chicken.
Would he just put the chicken in a cage, spray the chicken with water over the period of a really cold night, where it drops down to like -3, -4, something like that, and let the water freeze on the chicken? Seems elaborate, but Francis Bacon was a bit of a lad. He had energy to burn. Much like Genghis Khan, without the genocide.
Can anyone guess how many calories the meat on a fully grown mammoth would have provided?
Oh, man. How many calories?
Yep.
800,000. Millions of calories.
Okay, so what you going?
I'm going to go 5 million.
What was the question again, sorry?
How many calories would the meat on a fully grown mammoth provide?
Fully grown mammoth?
Yep.
How many calories of meat?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Weren't they like 4 times the size of an elephant or something like that?
Yeah, we're talking the big ass
They were about
mammoths, yeah?
2-3 times as the mass of a big African. They're about twice the mass of an African.
Alright, so we're talking that big. As in 10,000 BC, throwing spears at the fucking thing. That kind of
Yeah.
It's got to be like 1 billion calories on it.
1 billion?
Yeah.
No, not 1 billion.
Hazard a guess.
What, 14 million?
Ben's the closest, 3.6 million.
Hey, I was going to go 3.
I just wanted to go
Calories.
ridiculous.
It's a lot of
Oh,
fucking
it's a
red
lot-
meat right there,
it is
though,
a
isn't
lot
it?
of calories. It would certainly feed a village, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you bring one of them down, fuck yeah. Mind you, how many dudes? Only because like, you cast your loads of people to do it, I guess.
Yeah. But
Wait, did we exist at the same time as mammoths? We did, didn't we?
We killed them off pretty much. Well,
Oh.
that and climate change.
Ah, shame. Well, they evolved into elephants, I guess, some of them.
And they kept falling down fucking little snow bloody caverns.
Did they?
Yeah, that's why they keep finding preserved ones. Preserved ones
Oh,
that
yeah.
fell into like
You're
snow
right.
caverns
They
and
did,
that.
didn't they?
genuinely.
Keep on falling off things.
Honestly, that's why there's so many of them that are preserved, because they all fell off into these like frozen caverns that are still just about frozen,
There was
or they're
some-
starting to thaw now. Hence, they're finding them.
There was talk about bringing them back.
I know, to create like marshlands. They were going to use there's marshlands that are full of sulphur and things like that, and they were going to bring them back and release them onto there because it's their perfect habitat, and it would bring back the lands and it would help the earth. They reckon.
Yeah.
Bring back the mammoths.
And what they're
Sweaty
going
mammoths.
and what they're going to do, they're going to basically cross it. They're going to get as much. They are doing it. They want to do it. They're trying to get the big African male or female, I guess, but there's the big African bull is what they want to use, and then they're using whatever tiny little bit of DNA they've managed to extract from the old ones, because that's the problem. Is getting enough intact DNA, because the DNA particles they're managing to find aren't complete. A bit
Yeah,
like
because it breaks down after 10,000
Jurassic
years.
Park.
I was going to say a bit
You know,
like
Jurassic Park, that shit.
and they're replacing it with the DNA
You're an elephant.
potentially from a big African elephant.
Well, as long as we don't use a West African frog, they can change sex, and then we'll have problems.
As long as they don't put no raptor in there as
Yeah.
well, we'll be all right. Imagine that, a raptor elephant.
Oh, clever girl. Clever girl. I can see you coming quite a way though.
Yeah, not so good at sneaking up,
No, not good for an ambush.
but you won't want to fight one.
Fuck no, an elephant with giant claws.
And big nasty gnashers.
Yeah. No, I don't want that. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Oh, look at him.
Or,
I like
even,
elephants.
even if it turned out more raptor-like, but with big tusks.
Well, that's the thing. You end up with a tusked raptor at that
Yeah,
point, didn't
even
you?
that would be scarier.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, definitely don't cross it with a raptor,
No,
guys.
no.
Keep with the elephant genes.
No West African frog DNA.
For every degree of global heating, there is a 12% increase in lightning strikes.
Cool. More lightning
Yeah.
strikes.
Of course there will be.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah. But that's mad though, that's such a massive increase.
That's it, yeah.
Well, we'll leave that to the repeated lightning strikes to our grandkids to figure out.
One more worry for them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh
We
shit,
were-
it's raining. Don't go out.
The first edition of the Oxford English Dictionary included the word cock,
Yeah.
but excluded condom.
Why?
The male genitals were not considered taboo, but contraception was a subject too utterly obscene for the
Of
dictionary.
course it would have been.
That's why everyone had so many kids.
Mainly Catholic
And
society,
venereal
that,
disease.
wasn't it? Yeah.
A lot of venereal disease. Man, what a time to be a rich dude, though, in Victorian London. What a time.
All that lovely lead paint.
Everything was lead, mate. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, like face paint. Like,
No, they moved past that then.
have they?
Yeah, Victorian London, we're past that. That was a Tudor thing.
They're past putting it on their face.
Yeah.
Just everything else.
They just had powder at this point, and teeth have been taken from the French dead at Waterloo, probably. Pair of teeth we passed down the generations.
Didn't they do wooden dentures at one point?
No, they did. Yeah, George Washington had wooden
So
dentures.
I'm sure they did
Yeah.
wooden dentures.
So he never smiled. Said they were too painful. It's a special kind of man to have wooden teeth, though, doesn't it?
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Splinters in your tongue.
In Microsoft's internal documentation, the digital office assistant Clippy was referred to as TFC. Anyone think what that might be?
Oh god.
No, I'm just getting tender fried chicken.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking.
Too fucking cute. Even though everyone hates him,
Close.
he was kind of cute when you saw
that
him.
fucking clip. I don't know.
Yeah, that fucking clip.
To anyone who asked, it was the friendly character,
Ah.
but it actually stood for the fucking clown.
Ah, close then.
And we'll end on this one. Floppy disks are still used
No.
Never.
in aviation.
What?
I know, yeah. Medicine.
I can see
They're
medicine.
robust though, aren't they? They are robust.
Yeah.
But most of all in embroidery machines.
Well, that's not a cutting edge technology,
But
is it?
aviation and medicine, that's pretty mad, isn't it?
Medicine, I can see for storing stuff outside of X, because almost if you lose your connection to the cloud, as it is, the NHS cloud, for example, then it'd be nice to have some stuff stored up on a floppy disk, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But why floppy disk? Why not CD?
Oh, that's good. I guess they don't get scratched, do they? I mean, how many times have you had a floppy disk go wrong?
Loads.
Yeah.
I never did.
You don't remember like pulling that metal bit back? and,
No.
like, or like. Oh, is there anything?
No, never.
No, I don't remember, yeah, they seemed to pretty last, didn't they?
CDs got scratched, floppy disks. I used-
Yes, indeed.
See, I've always taken good care of my CDs, so never really had.
Yeah, but sometimes they just. Sometimes you got a dodgy player and that scratches them.
Shouldn't do though.
Shouldn't do, but sometimes it does. I had one like that. Either way, it was shit. But it's a floppy disk. It's nice to see them sort out. All the kids under like 25 are going, what the fuck's a floppy disk?
I wonder if VHS is still used in anything like commonly.
That's a valid question. I
Doubtful.
doubt it. Maybe, if you're in fucking Kabul, alright, living under Taliban regime, or in some Central African republic where there's a civil war raging all the
And
time,
they are still in
Then
the
yes.
technology.
I guess so. Because they haven't got time for DVD players. But then again, maybe, because...
No, they spec
Yeah.
Streaming, innit? It's streaming, mate. I've in Nepal, fucking up the Himalayas, they got fucking streaming.
No way.
Yeah. There's one cafe or something, they have to stand in this one area just to get the reception.
Yeah, we're not talking like that's one place in that country. I mean, your average place in, the average bush village somewhere. Right, your average little
Wouldn't
village.
surprise. No, I
There must be someone still having a village.
you go to the Amazon Indians, they've got smartphones.
Oh, get out of it. No, they haven't. They haven't.
They have, I
Like
swear.
little pygmy tribes and
Yeah.
that running around with
I don't.
fucking
With phones.
iPhone 14s.
Yeah, they're still hunting in the, with bow and arrows.
How can they have an iPhone then?
They've
With
got
a big
iPhones?
little VR set on.
Yeah, but
I don't know if they've got that.
They got a signal.
Yeah, they must have, mustn't they?
It's tragic. They got signal because they had to cut down a tree to put a mast up.
Yeah.
Do you reckon selfies is still a thing for them?
So
TikTok.
If I go into Facebook or Instagram, right? Let's say I go to Instagram and find some African bush people. I can find some African bush people selfies. Or
African bush people TikTok.
Sorry, Amazonian bush people
Yeah.
selfies. That's crazy. Why would you give them smartphones and not medicine?
Well, maybe they do give them medicine as well, I don't know.
Why would you give them smartphones?
I was saying that, they're in the Amazon, aren't they? They know how
No,
the medicine,
okay,
they know what all the medicine is.
A lot of I and Oscar about. But,
Which
Why
is
is
sad,
that?
really, because they're losing their way and their...
well, totally. I wouldn't give them smartphones.
I watched
it's
Ray
just cool.
Mears, he went back in there and they'd forgotten how to make fire because they've got lighters.
Oh,
You go to town and get lighters, lighter
Yeah.
fluid. You don't need to make fire, and a whole generation forgotten. So he was taking the young kids out and teaching them to make fire again.
Good old Ray Mears. Never takes sandwiches though, does he? Same as none of them explorers. None of those time. Boy, I can live off the land. Yeah, it's great.
But he's with you.
You
Yeah,
could take some
yeah.
sandwiches
Yeah, but
with you and just see yourself the hassle, couldn't you?
It's a shit show, then, isn't it? It's some man eating sandwiches in the woods. I don't want to watch that. I want to watch him.
He can show me how to do it, but at the same time, I want to see him eating a sandwich while he does it.
I want to see him eat them grubs that he's caught. I want to see him eat the fish. I want to see him eat.
He can put him on his sandwich to flavour it with him.
It's like watching Bear Grylls though when he fucking eats like a raw fucking snake because you can. When he's just made a fire.
He stays in a hotel anyway.
Yeah, but he's just made a fire.
Yeah.
And you're like, why would just fucking cook it, you tit?
Was he in the SAS or what?
Was he fuck? I don't think so.
I think he
pretty
was.
sure he wasn't.
Claims to have.
No, I'm pretty sure he wasn't.
But you weren't allowed to tell people if you were in the SAS.
You can if you've left.
Well, yeah.
Officers
There's
on a
certain
weird
things-
thing where they only do 3 years and have
Certain
to
things you
reapply.
can't
I don't know if it was the SCS. Maybe he was in the Marines. I don't
Some of
know.
us-
It's definitely some kind of
Yeah.
special.
I watched the
forces
interview with him on Louis Theroux recently.
check. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he was admitting like most of that stuff. Like he was sleeping in a hotel, and he's got this one video of he's like, I'm going to jump over this like crevasse, and it zoomed out like, and you could just see he's just like a little. There's like kids playing on this thing, you know what I mean? And he's making it out as if like it's a daring jump. And, yeah.
That's the problem. Then
He said it was entertainment. He said it's just entertainment. That's what it was. Yeah, some of it was real, but some of it wasn't. It was trickery and faked.
But that's the thing with all of it, though, isn't it? It's like they've got to get you watching.
Yeah.
They've got to make the money out of it. It's like every show that's in the paranormal.
Yeah, they
It's just-
sensationalise
Yeah.
it just to make it.
Yeah,
make it
well,
They're going to
popular.
take certain risks, but not risks that are going to jeopardise your life. Is it for a TV programme? It's not worth it.
He did 3 years in the army in the artists' rifles.
That is reserve SAS. 21 SAS, I think, is the reserve unit in London.
Well, should we call it a day?
Yeah, let's just call it a night. Right, so, thank you very much for listening. Oh, I didn't drop it in earlier. It's R.I.P.D. Kirstie Alley, who passed away today. Great actress, funny woman.
Yeah, man. R.I.P.
R.I.P.D. to her.
And their funny bones.
She's gone to be with L. Ron Hubbard.
She's
L. Ron Hubbard.
She's with LRH right now.
And Queeg. Is it Queeg? Oh, that's some Red Dwarf.
Yeah, that's for a dwarf, mate.
Some crazy
What's
space
the crazy
mutant.
alien being that they believe in?
It's like Xanu. I said it earlier. I don't know. Right. Follow us on Facebook at Cutting to the Ball in the Post-Truth Apocalypse. SoundCloud and most other podcasting platforms as Cutting to the Ball in the PTA. And YouTube at Apocalypse Ball. I've been Ben, thanks for listening. Don't drink the Flavour Aid. Don't join a cult.
I've been Mike, thanks for listening. Peace out. May the force be with you.
Oh, I've been Claire, keep an open mind, but not so open that it spills out your ears.
And I've been Pete. Aim low but shoot high.